And we are live. What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. And this has been a question that everyone is asking. And of course, John Fury recently made a claim that Anthony Joshua doesn't have the heart, doesn't have the desire. His body language was off. Pretty much he's done. You know, that's what we want to talk about. So, of course, I have a special guest, Spencer Fearon, bringing in with the knowledge. He wants to counterpunch what John Fury and company said about AJ. First off, Gray Launch. First, Mofo, counterpunch to you, Curtis Mall, 87. Second, in command, okay, if he doesn't fire Rob McCracken and get a new trainer, okay, Curtis Mall 87 with that counterpunch. No, he is just getting started. Needs new trainer first. If not, yeah, he's done, said KB. SJC, if Wilder's not finished, then Joshua ain't. AJ's lost a points decision to a classy boxer. Wilder got battered by a man with pillow fists, by his own words. Well, like I think that would hurt him at the end of the day. He probably shouldn't have said, and then of course Tyson Fury was the guy that he made Wilder look a lot more dangerous. So the win would mean a lot more versus Wilder made Fury this low, then he loses by someone that is that less significant, which wasn't a good idea. Because if you get beat by that guy, now you have to hold yourself accountable for beating the guy that you battered and bashed down. Okay. Mario Salazar, what's good, brother? Counterpunch to you. Z Zealous. Do you think Martin Gallagher and Sean Boyle would be? I have no idea. I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Suzaku's 11. What's AJ's best game plan to beat Usyk in your opinion? Cut off ring, work the body, lead with the right hand, left hook to the body, cut off the ring. I think he has to be prepared to take shots. And that's going to be the hard part. He's going to have to be prepared to take shots that I don't know if he'll be able to take. So we got the knowledge on. So we're going to bring him in real quick. Spence, what's up, brother?
Yeah, I'm really good, man. I'm really good.
That's good, man. I'm glad you got a day off on your busy schedule, man, to counterpunch Mr. John Fury. Because according to John Fury, if you guys don't know backstory, he said that Anthony Joshua's body language was off. He said pretty much he has no desire. He's lost the desire, and pretty much he's done. So the knowledge, of course, Spencer Fearon has reached out to me, and he wants to come in with a hardcore counterpunch to sum all this up. And let's have it.
Well, number one is John Fury is actually my friend. I got a lot of time for John Fury. A lot. Right. And he always phones me and vice versa. The other day when me and Tony were doing our show, The Fight Is Right, he phones me up while we're doing the show. So I've got a lot of time for John Fury. I ain't going to say nothing. John Fury. Right. But what I'm saying is not to the fact where he said the thing that I have to counterpunch is him saying he ain't got no heart. Everything else I could possibly agree with, but I can't turn around and say that the kid hasn't got any heart. Maybe his mindset was elsewhere for that fight, which I've touched on. But for me to turn around and say he's got no heart, I can't agree with that. He has got heart. He stepped in the ring, and John Fury's meant to know better because he's been an ex-fighter. You know what I mean? I think him saying that he ain't got no heart, I think is a little bit overcritical. We also got to turn around and realize that Anthony Joshua is this is how I can summarize it, right?
Right. Talk to me.
We see the nonsense right now that Dave Chappelle's being under, right?
Right.
right? With, you know, his last show, which is actually superb. If you ain't watched it, I'll tell anyone, go on Netflix and watch that right now. Tyson Fury is kind of like Dave Chappelle, right? In where he don't care. He just wants to go do his thing. And Anthony Joshua is kind of like Kevin Hart, because he's very corporate. He's, you know what I mean? He's very corporate. He's very safe with his material. But then on the other hand, you get Fury just don't give a flying F. And there lies the difference in the two combatants.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's almost, to me, Joshua is like, he knows that he is a work in progress and he doesn't take it to heart. And I think people get that misconstrued with the fact that he's just so able and so happy to take an L. You know,
No, listen to me. Forget about what I know. Anthony Joshua, right? Mm-hmm. I've known Anthony Joshua from when he was working on a building site. So, like, this is way before anybody. I've known Anthony Joshua from when he fought Dylan White in the amateurs. That's when I've known that kid, right? So we're going back. What was that? 2009, 2010. That's a long time ago. 2009, maybe, right? So people get what the man has accomplished in a short amount of time. 2.5 years. He's become an ABA champion. Like, to you guys, that'd be like the Golden Gloves Nationals, right? But he's been an ABA champion. Then he went to the World Games. He got a silver medal, and then he goes to the Olympics and wins a gold medal. He's done that in 2.5 years. I want you guys to just realize what this guy's done. Then from that time of becoming Olympic gold medalist, he takes a year out to summarize, what am I going to do next? And what he did next was turn professional. He turns professional, and within that time, within 3 years or two and a half years of being a professional fighter, he picks up IBF World Heavyweight Championship. So he's still relatively learning on the job. But what's happened now is he's learning on the job, but he's got all of this media exposure. And outside of Canelo, Anthony Joshua's the cash cow. Right? So especially what he's done in Europe, or what he's done for British boxing, him and Eddie Hearn, what they've done for British boxing. So I'm going back. We go back to December of 2015. And December of 2015, Tyson Fury puts in a masterclass performance, even though it was a boring fight. It's not a fight that I'll go back and say, I have to watch that fight against Klitschko. He beats Klitschko, a man that was unbeaten for 10.5 years. Right? He beats him, and we made in Tyson Fury's head, in John Fury's head, right, we're there now, we've made it, and we're going to be everywhere. And he got the backlash of certain comments that he made to a press guy who he kind of double-crossed him, right? Because it was that, like, Tyson Fury made homophobic statements. Blah. No, a man stuck by his religious beliefs, and he said what he said, and it got misconstrued. But at the same time now, Anthony Joshua just fought Dylan White. Right, he gets hurt badly in the second round, comes back and he stops Dylan White. Then from that time, they move on. Like, his next fight after that is Charles Martin for the IBF title, because Tyson Fury gets stripped of the IBF because he was contracted to fight Klitschko again. And then we know that Tyson Fury has the mental health. Right, we all know about that. But so within that time that he's been away from boxing in those 3 years, Anthony Joshua has been Anthony Joshua everything. Anthony Joshua this, Anthony Joshua that. So Anthony Joshua's been everywhere. But Anthony Joshua is still a work in progress. So for anybody now to turn around and say, like, Anthony Joshua hasn't got heart or he lacks heart, then I disagree. What I believe is this: is very, very difficult that someone can stay focused after being discombobulated by financial wealth. It is ridiculous how much money Anthony Joshua's made. And he's still trying to appease these commercial guys because that's what he's doing. Now, and he's doing that. And as he's doing that, he's actually helping a lot of other fighters get the bring in because he's brought in a lot of guys. Like I remember from, I think it was Audley Harrison. It was Audley Harrison versus David Haye for the WBA Heavyweight Championship. And then Sky pulled the plug on putting on pay-per-view fights anymore. It was like, Sky was like, we've had enough. Right? Because the first fight was dismal. And then from that time, Eddie Hearn comes back into the game. Eddie Hearn puts on Tony Bellew versus Nathan Cleverly in a non-title fight, but he made that fight pay-per-view. And then the pay-per-view mechanism started to work, but there weren't nothing stand out. And then comes Carl Froch versus George Groves, and they have a rematch where Carl Froch sells 80,000 people in Wembley, and then the fight boxing in the UK is like, wow, what's going on here? Right? And
he broke the ball,
Anthony Joshua was on that undercard. He fights a man called Matt Legg. He knocked him out one round. I think it was one round he knocks him out. Right? I remember being backstage with Anthony then and just seeing even then, because he's Olympic champion then, but he's just turned pro, but seeing the adulation and the attention that that young man was getting. So he's been under a lot of pressure not to come across as being this stereotypical man, to be this stereotypical big muscle, brute, braggadocial kind of person. Was it stay humble, stay hungry being his mantra? So he's done that, but he's still under the spotlight constantly, and he's trying his best, like, to play it safe. He's trying his best to be appealing to Black culture as well as European culture. He's doing his best to do that, which is very, very difficult because, you know, as it says in the good book, that you can't serve two masters. So I ain't taking nothing away from what Anthony Joshua has done or his accomplishments. What I am saying is, maybe the desire isn't there, doesn't mean that you lack heart. Maybe the desire is, it's difficult. The man from boxing alone, I'm just saying from boxing, he's made 150 million from boxing. Pounds, that is. So in your money, what's that, about $180 million?
Maybe a little bit more than that, but yeah, around that, yeah.
Not much.
Pounds, yeah, pounds is a big deal. I love pounds.
Strong. Pounds is strong. Pounds is pounds, right?
Yeah.
Pounds brings the weight. Mm-hmm. So we cannot turn around and try to besmirch anything that Anthony Joshua has done. He's trying now to know, like, right, he's listening. He's listening to when people are saying, well, you know what? Maybe you need to go check out this guy, or maybe you need to go check out that guy, or maybe you just need to be around gyms. I remember saying when he came second best against Andy Ruiz, saying, like, you need boxing people around you. And that's straight after that. Don't think you don't listen, because he listens. We talk. He's got boxing people around him, got guys in the fight getting around, got people around him, right? But I would say the difference is this. Tyson Fury most probably came out of his womb with boxing gloves on. He's a natural fighter, right? Bare knuckle fighter, boxing gloves, with gloves on fighter, have a tear up on the street fighter. He's that guy. He will just fight. That is the nature of travelers. I've grown up around them. I know their mentality. Even the ones that can't fight will try and fight you. Right? So there is a difference. There is a difference between the two guys, right? There is a difference. But like I'm saying to you again, with someone like Anthony Joshua, you can't serve two masters. You need to go out and go do what you have to go and do. And for him to go out and get the win over Usyk, biting down on the gum shield is something that he didn't demonstrate in his last fight against Usyk, which he should have done. I was there ringside, me and my wife, and my wife couldn't believe what she was watching at the time. When I was saying, like, he's losing, he's behind, right? But the problem was, it takes heart to be that cocksure that you could beat a man at what they do best.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who put that in his mindset to say, you go out and fight Usyk. Well, you try and box him. You try to outbox him. You know what I mean? That is like me fighting you at your best arsenal.
Well,
that you're the best. You're the best sharpshooter in you're the best sharpshooter in the West, and I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna bring a knife and say, "Yeah, come, let's have it." That's ridiculous. And unfortunately,
that's what he tried to do. But the question is, this is another question I want to ask you, Knowledge. Who instructed him to do so? Because we heard Rob McCracken say, stay behind the jab, stay light on your feet, look for the right hand. What would you think of that versus what he did?
Yeah, but even saying that could still be misconstrued as like box this guy. You mean I didn't see no desperation. He knocking Robert McCracken. I know Robert for years. Right? I don't stop big up Robert. Robert McCracken, he was out in America. Robert McCracken was trained by Phil Torrance. Phil Torrance was famously famously under the tutelage of Eddie Futch, who's ranked as one of the greatest ever to do it. Eddie Futch learned from Yank Durham because he worked for Yank Durham. Yank Durham was the man that had Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier famously in March of 71 beat Ali in the fight of the century. So the super fight, Ali actually lost the super fight. So he's come from a long lineage. So I ain't knocking Robert McCracken. Where he must have picked up something in that time of him being in the gym with those guys. He must have picked up something. You know what I mean? But what I am saying is, I didn't see no desperation in that corner, knowing that a guy's behind. You know what I mean? I didn't see no desperation like you amp your authority right now because we're behind. I didn't see someone like throw the water in his face and say, "Come, AJ, man, bite down on your gumshoe right now." You know what I mean? I didn't see none of that. I didn't see no Wakanda forever. Come, let's go do this thing. I didn't see that in the fight. That's what was needed. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
So based on the instructions, that was the wrong instructions. So what would you recommend in the future for AJ?
In the future for AJ?
Yes, sir.
For him to be himself? That's right, Joshua. For him to be himself. And as much as he should have gone out and just fought the guy, Usyk's a very, very clever fighter. You would think, like, here's a man that's had like 300 and something amateur fights, only losing 15. You mean undisputed world champion down at cruiserweight, and now he's a multiple world champion as a heavyweight. The man knows how to fight. We cannot look at that man and don't think he does. Of course he does. He knows how to fight. And not only that, but mentally, he's a very tough man. You know what I mean? When the Ukraine split from Russia and he went, where did he fight? He fought Gassiev in Russia. Can you imagine the kind of treatment that he would have got being like now, like he's from the Ukraine now? Can you imagine how he must have got treated? He didn't give a flying F. He just went in there to go do his thing. And the next thing, if you look on the ring walk of Usyk going into the Joshua fight, he walked into that ring by himself. Had the security around him. He walked into the ring. You had 62,000 people, right, at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, right? He walked there himself. No entourage, no guys geeing him up, no nothing. Just walked in by himself with a visor saying, "Come, let's go do this." And the next thing where I add, because I was there ringside, I thought it was atrocious that the British fans vehemently booed the Ukrainian national anthem. I thought that was so disgusting because, man, I got a lot of love from the Ukrainians there. When they recognized me, was there ringside, it was like taking snaps with loads of people. Like, they were so nice, so respectful, knowing that, right, we're actually on opposing land, and they behaved themselves amiably. They really were a credit. You know what I mean? But I was disgusted by how the British fans blew the national anthem.
Well, I know Ukraine, they have a history, and you know the history between Usyk and the Klitschko's. Did you notice that Vitaly was there, but Vladimir wasn't? What do you make of that?
I don't make nothing of it. You got to think. It's like he's the mayor of Ukraine, right?
Who?
Vladimir.
Who?
Vitali.
Vladimir, is he really?
Vitali,
I
yeah,
thought
he's the
that was like Tally. He's the president, right?
Vitali's the mayor. Vitali's the mayor. He's a
Okay.
big, little guy. He's a big guy. So he's saying, well, this man representing our country, I'm going to be out there. And maybe also it's like the brother could have felt like, right, well, I actually lost to Joshua. So I don't really want to, it's like me rubbing salt in my own wounds. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Maybe he was busy. We don't know. You know what I mean? So I don't want to overly read into that. But what I am going to say is like, not even for me to overly read into, I'm saying like back to John Fury, it's like John Fury knows the right things to say to get hits and likes, and he's a very clever man.
Yeah. Very intense, clever guy. He's a
Yeah,
chip off the old block, ain't he?
Right, but I'm not going to ever doubt the heart of Anthony Joshua. Ever am I going to doubt the heart? I could turn around and say I could doubt the intelligence to certain things when he fights, but I don't know nothing else. Yeah, big up Nick Rich. All right, how you doing, sis? So
yeah, she wants to pick your brain for a second, and so do I. So I got first dibs.
Right.
Based on not the heart, so we can't doubt the heart. Okay, in your opinion, we can't doubt the heart of AJ. But what would you think a new trainer would do for AJ versus you said be himself? Do you think it was because of the instruction, or you just think it's because of what?
Oh, well, I
what
think
can you change to help him, in your opinion?
The setup of what Anthony Joshua has right now, I think he's outgrown that setup.
Okay.
Right. So when you outgrow that setup, that means that you outgrow your learning.
Amateur gym.
Right. And the worst thing is this is when you outgrow your learning and people are dependent on you financially. Because this is a business. I'm just going to there. This is a business. And Anthony Joshua cuts peas like no one's business. Right?
Yeah.
So I would say, obviously, imagine Robert McCracken's versus trained Carl Froch. Robert McCracken, he's done his bits. He's been fantastic for the GB boxing team, right? Fantastic for him because he's a head coach there. The amount of medals that Great Britain has won has to be attributed to him and the rest of the team that they got down there. But at the same time, and this is what I'm saying, at the same time, maybe Robert McCracken's doing too much. You feel me?
Maybe he's doing that, and he's still doing his thing. And then you got the top heavyweight, or one of the top heavyweights in the world, that's unified. I think he needs more assistance. Like at what point?
Not for Joshua though. I don't think he needs more assistance for Joshua. You know what I'm saying to you? They've got, like, Joshua's got Joby Clayton in there and Angel Fernandez, right?
Right.
Works with Ben Whitaker, the kid that won the silver medal in the Olympics. Ben Whitaker is a very, very precocious talent, really good talent, very good fighter, right? What I'm saying is, when AJ was saying like, I got to get more guys in, you got like they're listening to me. I'm saying you got to get more boxing people around you. So he's got Joby Clayton and Angel Fernandez in the camp now, right? Now they're not as good a trainer and haven't got a resume of Robert McCracken. So why are you bringing that man in the camp? Surely now, if I'm bringing somebody in the camp now, I'm going to say I'm bringing someone in the camp that knows more than Robert McCracken in certain areas, but Robert McCracken knows more in other areas. That's who I'm bringing into the camp. So imagine Robert McCracken's there thinking, well, boy, I'm not going to give up my paycheck. I'm just being 100. I'm not giving up my paycheck. So you want to bring in someone else? That's cool, but as long as it don't affect my money. If that conversation that was had, right? So these are the kind of things that I'm looking at, because I know, like, how would you feel like, oh, you're working me, you're working great together, like you're my trainer. And then all of a sudden, you know what, Kirk, you know what, man, I got a counterpunch right now. I think I should just bring in some other people. We could work with some other stuff. You know what I'm trying to say? How are you going to be looking at that? How are you going to be looking at that?
Yeah, I would feel definitely some type of way. And the first question I would ask is why? Why would you want that?
Now, if I'm saying like he brought in like a former world champion now to say, okay, then he ain't going to be training me, but he's going to give me pointers, I'm going to take that.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
I'm going to bring Lennox Lewis in, right? I'm going to bring Lennox Lewis in.
You knew I was going to ask that, wouldn't you? Yeah, you must have knew that was on the last part of my
Yeah,
tongue. What about Lennox Lewis, man? What about Lennox?
I think Lennox would be a fantastic addition to him, but you get what I'm trying to say? If it is just to the fact of like, I'm just going to be here for points. I'm not a head trainer. Lennox Lewis ain't get up in the morning to go running with you. Lennox Lewis ain't going to do none of that kind of stuff, right? But what it is like, what needs to be ascertained right now is that of Anthony Joshua to show that he has real desire, right? And once he shows that desire, then yeah, because right now you can't tell him nothing. I'm not saying like it's difficult to tell the kid something if you know you're relying on that check. So loads of people now seems like they're putting money over morals. As far as I'm concerned, right? But you can see now, Anthony Joshua is in America right now. He's in America right now. He's with Virgil Hunter, and then you see him with Eddie Renault. So he's just going around the gym saying, "Oh, boy, let me just go try a thing." And I don't blame him for doing that.
Yeah. So out of all these guys, you have let's name some names: Teddy Atlas, Hunter, Freddie Roach, Eddie Reynoso, Lennox Lewis.
Who would I have with out of those guys?
Yeah.
None of them.
None of them. Who would you go with?
Who would I go with?
Is best suited for Anthony Joshua? And then why not Teddy Atlas? Why would you recommend Teddy Atlas? Because that would have been my first choice.
Why wouldn't I recognize Teddy Atlas?
No, why wouldn't you recommend him? Yeah.
Because I wouldn't. He's because of his ego. So I wouldn't have him in there.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's not a good trainer, but because of his ego.
You think he'd get too angry?
No, I think his ego would surpass his personality when he's dealing with Anthony Joshua.
Okay. Give me examples.
I'm just being real.
Like a John Fury, kind of like.
But Teddy Atlas is very good at saying little sound bites in the corner. Teddy Atlas is very good at knowing where the camera is so he can say his shit. I'm not knocking Teddy. I like Teddy Atlas, right? But I'm just keeping his thing 100. So no, I wouldn't go to Teddy Atlas. Not saying that Teddy Atlas don't know the game. He knows the game, but I wouldn't have him working with Anthony Joshua.
Okay. Simon Brady, AJ needs to leave his comfort zone and train in the States when you're fighting Porky Spence. I don't know who the hell it is. I'm thinking that's Andy Ruiz. I don't know. The YB is on your case. The YB. Respect to both of you guys. Okay. So do you think he needs to leave his comfort zone? You think that's what AJ's problem is?
Most definitely needs to leave his comfort zone. Most definitely needs to go set up camp and get away from things. He needs to reverberate to knowing where he come from and what made him tough. And that's what I think that he needs to go and do.
Shout out to Mr. H. Hayward. Counterpunch to you, brother. Thank you for the pounds of love. Brandon Spence, who you got? Better Beef or Bibble?
I've got Better Beef winning that fight.
Yeah, Better Beef is a beast.
I got him winning that fight.
But so who would you recommend? Because yeah, Teddy is good at sound bites, you know.
I've got loads of trainers in my head, which I'll say to Anthony Joshua personally, and not just no disrespect, and not on your show, right? Yeah. I'd rather say it to him personally, and I've been asked already. So on that, I mean, he has a very good relationship with Robert McCracken, but you know what? I mean, your first girlfriend, I bet you love her up to this day, but you're not together. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right. Sometimes when you love someone, you can let them go.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, it's a deep bond between those two, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, that makes sense. No, I would tell him too, because I mean, you know him personally, so I would tell him personally before telling him over social media or any other.
I mean, I've got a couple guys where in my mind, like if you want to go work with someone, but the thing about it is this, they're gonna have that rematch in they're saying March, but it most probably happen in May when it's a lot warmer in the UK because it's got to be an outdoor stadium. I disagree with him training with Klitschko as well. I disagree with that. I think what Anthony Joshua needs is to go back to recognizing who he is. And I think he's kind of forgotten who he is because of everything else. And what's happened with Anthony Joshua is maybe he's forgotten that his boxing has put him in his position to become this corporate star. And he's a darling of the corporate world, right? And that has helped him financially massively. But at the same time, he's sacrificed who he is now that he's become this media darling, right? And sometimes you just need to be who you are and let that road come out of you and let people know what time of day it is.
Okay.
And I think that can come out of him because I think he's mentally strong enough to do it. I think in this fight, what you saw, there was mental fragilities that need correcting. And I think he needs a rest, put his feet up, you know what I mean? Maybe fly to Nigeria or something. You know what I mean? Have some good say.
Last time.
Yeah, have some good say, some pounded yam now, but go out this time with no entourage. Just go out to chill, rest. Don't try taking too much information right now. Because we saw in the last, you know what I mean? Exactly. Time for Big Femi to stand up. See, my sister knows, right? You know, you know what I mean? And let him be Olufemi, right? And Olufemi and not Femi. Femi means love me. Olufemi means Lord love me. And his real name is Olufemi. Olufemi Anthony Joshua. He needs to be Olufemi, meaning Lord loves me, meaning that the powers of the creator of this universe loves me. So therefore I'm going out, I'm going to go do my thing. He's an incredibly blessed human being because like I said, he transcends boxing in the UK. Because I go to the fights, and when I go to the fights, it takes me a little while. Everyone wants to mob and take pictures and that, right? You go to an AJ fight, I'll get it, but I don't get that mobbed because people are here who he appeals to not just boxing fans. He appeals to old grannies and little children of the whole spectrum of color. That's the mass appeal that the man has. You go to his fights, it's like you're going to a rock concert. But you know what? If you can't keep on winning, that appeal will start to. So he's got to come back. And sometimes it's not the defeat, but the manner of the defeat. You go out swinging, you go out blazing, then you get what I'm trying to say. But obviously, the ultimate thing for him is to go out and get this win against Usyk. I know the things that he has to go and implement to go and do to beat Usyk, and I strongly do believe that he can actually beat Usyk. He's just got to change his mindset.
What style would he use to beat Usyk, you think, in your opinion?
I'm not even going to discuss that one here. It would be. I
was like,
you know what? I'll tell you what. A lot of people listen to when I talk, right?
Oh yeah.
And right, a lot of people listen to when I talk. And a lot
You
of
got almost 600 people right here listening to you right now.
Right, I know. How many?
Almost 600.
Well, I'm grateful for that, right? But what I'm trying to say, thank you for all you 600 in there. Please smash the like button and subscribe to Counterpunch and show Kurt some love, right? So and jump on that super chats because I love super chats, right? And I'm saying like these guys listen to my stuff and they steal the things that I say. So I drop certain bars, and I was talking to Tundi Ajayi the other day, and we was talking about how to deal with southpaws and stuff. And I dropped a bar, and he said, "You know what, Spence? Stop talking at these for free because you're helping these guys, and they're not turning around helping you." So when I speak to these guys, but like I said, I got a personal relationship with these guys. Then I'll bust what I got to go bust. But I know exactly how he would have to go and fight Usyk. Mainly bite down to your gum shield. Everything else will come, but I know the style that he'd have to go and do. And there's certain fights that he needs to go and study. Period. You know what I mean? Certain they go and study.
You think that's why he's in the US? Do you think he came over specifically for that reason?
I just think that he needed a break from being around the UK stuff, knowing that, listen, I've got to go and brush up on certain things and let me just be around that to feel the ambience of learning. But listen, don't think there ain't no con artist trainers in America. There's a bag of them out there. You know, it goes, they enter into a gym in Vegas, and a guy 1 week is a white collar boxer. Then a month later, he sees a fighter that he happens to spar with, and he says, "Oh, let me hold your towels for you, or let me hold the spit bucket for you when you're sparring." And the next thing, he's inside the ring. 2 months later, he's inside the ring, like throwing pads with the guy. Then the next thing, now he's gone out and got a trainer's license. Now he's a boxing trainer. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
oh, but I'm telling you, this is the truth, and this is how comical and how much of a joke. When a man says that they're a trainer, I want to know from what school or seat of learning did you come from, and where is your lineage? Who was you around? What conversation we having with former trainers? What was you around? Who was you feeling? What was you getting as a suction to better your knowledge? And then I could turn around and say that maybe you're a trainer. Don't just post up some Instagram videos of fancy pads. Anyone could do that. I could teach my 5-year-old daughter to throw a mad combination on the pads. That don't mean you know boxing. That don't mean you sit down. You know what I mean? So I'm saying there's a lot of these little con artists that are inside. I can't even say con. My apologies. A lot of these lack of experience people that are inside the sport that are really conning the game. So, and that's inside boxing, period. Not just in the UK, it's all over the world, especially in America. No, I'm being
Yeah. No, I get you. Before I ask you a question, Blaine Walker, Usyk is not unbeatable. AJ can win the rematch if he makes adjustments. Facts. Counterpunch to you, Blaine Walker.
Yeah, and I, you know what I mean? Because Usyk isn't unbeatable, right? But if you try and box the guy at what he is supremely superb at, then you're gonna come a cropper. And that's that.
Joshua versus Luis Ortiz would be a good test for him. What do you think about that?
It would be, but I don't need that fight. You know what I mean? I'm just keeping it 1,000,000%. You can for what Anthony Joshua needs right now, he has activated a rematch clause. He's got to go take that rematch, and he's got to go out there.
Yeah, so we were talking about these inexperienced trainers or whatnot, or inexperienced people that call themselves trainers. I know that Malik Scott had a big task ahead of him last Saturday night. How do you think he did as a trainer or as a head trainer?
I thought that Malik Scott was absolutely fantastic with the work that he did with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is another guy. What was he? 3 years as an amateur and middle in the Olympics. That's absolutely incredible. But he's another limited fighter himself. He's limited skill-wise because he realized that he's a one-trick pony. But what he does with that one trick is absolutely magical, right? It is miraculous that if he touches you with that right hand or even with that left hook, you're gone, right? So we got to give. I thought Malik done really, really good work with him. But unfortunately, Malik knows boxing. I'm just telling you now. He knows boxing because he's well studied. And game knows game. I met him quite a few times when he's come to the UK. It's all love. I got a lot of time for him. You know what I mean? And he's very philosophical on certain things. You know what I mean? I like the guy. Apart from him posting pictures on Instagram like he's advertising for fans only. You know what I mean? Only fans. Apart from that, he's a cool bro. I got time for him. I mean, I see the things that Floyd Mayweather said about him and that he should go back to Mark Breland, but then Floyd should also understand is like it's fighting. It's about comfortability. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's about comfortability. I could go back to Joe Kawasaki when he reigned supreme in the super middleweight and light heavyweight divisions in the UK. Right? He's actually British boxing's longest reigning world champion. And when he was around, everyone told him to get rid of his dad. He stayed loyal to his dad. And he's come out as being one of the greatest professional fighters ever to come out of the UK. And definitely one of the, if not the greatest super middleweight of all time. So, everybody has to go do what they got to do when they got to go do it.
You're absolutely right. You had guys like Sugar Shane Mosley. He left his father. Felix Trinidad stuck it out with his father. Miguel Cotto's father passed. But that father-son relationship, it's a hard bond to break because I know actually Sugar Shane Mosley fell out with his father over that for a while.
Well, Sonny Roy You know, this is how it goes. This is the nature of the sport, right? This is the nature of the sport.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you think of the Otto Wallin Dillian White fight, what do you think about? What do you think about that fight?
Not an easy fight for Dillian White.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. It's a southpaw. He's got good work rate, decent head movement. Gave Tyson Fury a good fight, but I think right now Dillian White knows it's touching distance, and it's been touching distance for a long while. But right now, it is proper touching distance for him, and I believe that we're going to see a very, very good Dillian White. Especially like Dillian White has got a really, really good left hook. Loads of people tell you to go for the right hand when you're dealing with southpaws. Actually, you get a lot of success with left hooks with southpaws, and I think that's going to be suited to Dillian White because I think Dillian White has one of the best left hooks in heavyweight boxing, and he'll administer that and he'll find Wallin's chin to put him in his place eventually because I'm seeing how Dylan's body. Dylan lives this thing. That's one thing I'll give Dillian White, and I've seen the body transformation over the years with him as well. So, yeah, it's still a difficult fight, but I've got Dillian White winning this fight. Possibly late stoppage, but I feel safer bet it's going to go points.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Dominic Brazil. He busted Brazil up. Brazil's a tough guy, and he hits pretty hard for a heavyweight. He's a big guy. He's 6'9". He's the same height as Tyson Fury. He's just slow as molasses in the wintertime. But he did take some hard shots from Dominic Brazil in the later rounds, and he withstood them. So, you know, I took that in consideration.
Dominic Brazil. Because he's so tall, he's a little bit cumbersome. Right? It's like his equilibrium's off a little bit. You know what I mean? Nice guy. I was over here when he fought AJ. And at that time, I was working at Sky. So I spent a lot of time with him when he came over for that fight. We had very good, nice guy, very nice guy. But I'm just keeping this thing 100. Dominic Brazil ain't Dillian White.
Okay. Okay. So you think the punching power doesn't compare to Dillian White's?
No, it doesn't.
Dillian White punches with hard intentions. I know he has a man that left hook he caught Lucas Brown with was off the chain.
Exactly.
And that was from a combination.
Lucas Brown still knocked out.
Yeah, he caught him, and that was very impressive. But you know, I look at Dillian White was on the redemption list for a while because he kept ballooning up in weight.
Yeah, well, like I said, he's a very focused man. He knows he's within touching. Dillian White gets paid a lot of money when he fights, right? Dillian White, most probably the highest earning non-world champion in the world today. It's ridiculous.
I'll say that, definitely. I couldn't think of anyone else.
It's ridiculous how much he gets paid. He gets paid. He's negotiated a very, very good partnership deal with Matchroom. So I'm saying, you know, it 2 weeks now for his fight with Wallin, and I've got Dillian White coming out victorious in there.
They say, should AJ recruit Errol Spence's trainer, as I think it would be a match made in heaven, in turn AJ into Colossus.
Okay.
In Christen Network.
Sorry, no disrespect. Who is
James?
Derek Jameson, I know.
Yeah.
What heavyweights has he trained?
I haven't seen any.
I respect my case. All right, next question, man.
So there is definitely a difference. You think you could, like, if you were training middleweights, it's best to have a specific heavyweight trainer.
My friend, listen good to me, yeah. There's boxing, and then there's heavyweight boxing. Right? There's boxing and there's heavyweight boxing. Right? Now, they're at a different pace. It's set at a different pace. They are the juggernauts of the division. So I want to know what heavyweights have you trained, and what world class heavyweights have you trained, and then we go take it from there.
Right, to know what to expect. I get it.
And that's no disrespect. He's a cool guy, very, very good trainer. I just want to know what's your resume when it's dealing with heavyweight boxing.
You mentioned Deontay Wilder. If he hit you with the right hand, and did you say left hook also?
Yeah, he's got decent left hook, man.
I think his left hook is garbage. I don't think he knows how to turn it over. He was doing it right on the pads, but I didn't see any of that in that fight. What left hook did he throw in that fight that indicated he had a good left hook?
Deontay Wilder doesn't throw no shots good, apart from his right hand. I'm gonna be real. He doesn't throw no.
I mean, he does. He throws it reckless, but they're dangerous.
Right. When I'm saying he's got a left hook on it, he has got a left hook on him. When he throws that left hook, it's because the guy can punch. So it don't matter what. The breeze of the shot could go past, he's going to hurt you. That's how heavy he is.
Okay. Because I know he throws punches reckless. That's why he breaks stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, and the guy, some Wilder fan, he was like, man, what do you mean he can't punch? I said he doesn't know how to punch. Didn't say he couldn't punch. He just doesn't know how to punch. That's why he breaks stuff. You got to know how to turn your punches over.
Well, the reason being is because you revert back to type. And when you just become reliant on knowing that you can touch guys and knock them out, you become reliant on it. You just feel, well, I just got to turn up. I'm going to touch you, you're gone. And unfortunately, that's been the way for Deontay Wilder.
Okay. Well, so AJ, what do you think? What do you think he needs? What do you think he needs most importantly? You say he needs to be himself. How does he get himself back?
I think mental stability, being around real people who's going to tell you the reals. Being around real people are going to say, you know what, that was actually shit. You know what I mean? And you could do better than that. Let him go do some soul searching, but then build him up as well. Right? Because, like I said, he's a cash cow. No one ain't going to be truthful to him. They ain't going to be truthful to him. No one ain't going to go berserk on him and say, what the hell was that? They're not. Mm-hmm. And anybody who is, they're going to try to keep them away. Oh, we don't want to hear the truth too much. You know what I mean? I've had phone calls. You know what I mean? We speak. Like I said, I speak to his family as well. Right? So, and they are also being defendants of him, which I'm saying I get it because you're his family. Right? But the thing is, sometimes I'm a bit too real on certain things. You know what I mean? I'm a bit too real on certain things, which sometimes can go against me with certain things, but I just got to speak how it is. And I know, like, when I'm saying what I'm saying, it's not coming from a position of any malice or no indictive feelings behind it. I just got to tell you the truth because I'm speaking out of love. Because if I didn't love you, I'd just tell you more.
Well, do you think he respects the realness, though? That's the important thing.
Well, the thing about it is this: I can't say whether he respects it or not. Well, what I do know is that he listens to when I say things, they listen. He's in America right now; they listen. So they listen. When I say my bits, they listen. But I know what he needs around him, and I think he needs that identity, and I think he needs to forget about this corporate nonsense right now. You know what I mean? And just go do what he can go and do. Because if you was athletic as he is, you know what I mean, as strong as he is, buoying these guys, straight standard, tight guard, buoying these guys. Like, you're not even in my league, I'm gonna smash you. But like I said, he's made 150 million from boxing. I don't have the desires there to say I want to smash people like that. But he knows next time we have this conversation where me and him talk, he knows that's what I'm gonna be saying.
So, coming from Brandon, another super chat. Knowledge, who do you favor in a war in Joshua versus Wilder?
Joshua versus Wilder at this present moment. After seeing how Wilder performed against Tyson Fury, I think that fight's going to take a lot out of him. You know what I mean? I think that fight's going to take a lot out of him. That's why. And what I do know is that Joshua would fight with Wilder because they've had this long time rift. But you know
Yeah,
what?
it's been like a Cold War, ain't it?
Yeah. They've had this long time riff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a real passive Cold War. A lot of people don't look at it because it's not something that they both sit there and talk about. But it's been something in the behind the scenes been brewing up.
Wilder turns up, and depending on what Anthony Joshua turns up. Because before, I favored Anthony Joshua to beat Wilder if his mind's right. But I can't make sure of his mind. His mind's right. I would have Anthony Joshua to win that fight simply because I know the fight that he had the other day has taken a lot out of him mentally. I know this for a fact.
Yeah, he did give a lot. He took a lot of punishment. He took a lot of punches.
And the Nevada State Commission, Boxing Commission, have done the right thing to stop him from fighting or participating in any fight for 6 months because you just need that rest. But you know what? Under Malik Scott, I've seen massive improvements. So it is a kind of like one of those kind of fights. Who wants it more?
Yeah. Swift 718 coming in with $20. Appreciate the love. AJ can beat Usyk and every other heavyweight. Should have fought tall against Usyk. If Usyk gets inside, lean on him. Push off with the right uppercut, left hook, back into position with proper distance maintained.
100%. I totally agree. I've spoken too much about what he should have done for what he hasn't done. So, like I said, I'd rather, and it's no disrespect to you guys who paid your money, but I totally agree with you. So, thank you very much for your 20.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like a well thought strategy, actually, me reading it, because that's something that he could have done. Me, though, leaning on Usyk, I don't think Usyk doesn't fight like a Wallin. Wallin pushed, like he pushed Tyson. So he was able to do that because Wallin was there. He was there to fight to get inside. Usyk comes in and out and all around about. So he uses his legs more than versus, hey, I'm going to use toughness and durability to get in no matter what, to fight the odds and do what I can do when I get inside. That's Otto Wallin. Usyk's not that type of fighter.
No, he's not.
So a lot of people mention the Fury deal with, oh man, who'll just lean on him. You got, first of all, he's not going to be there for Tyson Fury to lean on like that unless he has him in the corner. And that's if Tyson Fury has him backed into a corner. That would be the only way that I could see that happening. That's if he can keep him there. So that's a totally different, that's another video on another time. But Igor, even if AJ loses in the rematch, I still think AJ versus Wilder with no belts will financially be more successful than Usyk versus Fury for Undisputed. That's a very good question. What do you think about that?
I disagree. Unless the two would, if AJ and Wilder went to Nigeria and fought, then yes, because Nigeria's got some serious money out there. And was it Wilder did that DNA report and he was from Benin, which is like next door to Nigeria. Anthony Joshua's Nigerian heritage. If they put that fight on, they were going to put it on. But I know what Nigeria's like. They'll say we don't want to promote that fight unless it's for a world title. So I don't be financially more successful for the simple fact that this will be the first time that we will have an undisputed white heavyweight champion since Ingomar knocked out Floyd Patterson.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So was that 59 that fight? So that's how I see that going. I think that fight would be massive. And I think it would financially it will buy because I know Saudi are looking for that fight right now. There's quite other people who are looking for that fight, big country are looking for that fight, and they'll pay top dollar for it.
Well, that is, you know what? I didn't think of that. I didn't really even think about it like the color of the race thing.
No,
but
well,
that is true. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't even. What's that?
It will be the first time. Now, you don't have to look at it as the color of the race thing. I'm just telling you I'm just telling you geographical and historical facts. That would be the first time since then. So not only just having that last undisputed champion in the whole wide world since Lennox Lewis, but it would be a massive thing to the fact that we are having two Europeans Um, and the winner of that would be the first undisputed champion since Ingemar Johansson. That is massive. I don't care what anyone wants to say. I'm saying historically, that's a massive thing.
Yeah, it's funny though. I didn't even, and that's just my mindset, but I was just surprised that like Larry Merchant, was just so happy. And I'm like, what the hell are you happy for? He's like, I'm just enjoying this. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Tyson Fury's not from America. He's not American.
Yeah, but you see,
Tyson Fury won.
Yeah, but their true nature comes out. Yeah, I mean, I don't give a damn because I'm telling you this now. I'm the biggest Tyson Fury fan, right? For the simple fact of what he's come from, the mental burdens and everything else that he's come from. I'm actually a Tyson Fury fan. But I'm also a Usyk fan, right? Usyk is fantastic. Yeah, let's just call it as is. The guy's superb.
Right.
I mean, there's so much learning if you watch that guy fight. Really good fighter. I mean, really, really good fighter. So yeah. But yeah, Larry Merchant, you have to understand those guys, they've always had an agenda. You know what I mean? They've always had, so it's just coming out. Right, let me say this. If anybody demonstrates the boxing that I love and admire, I don't care where it's coming from, because I said this before, our culture is our skin tone. Our culture is that of me emphasizing with somebody else that shares the same ideals as me. You know what I mean? And there's a synchronicity to that, and I can feel that energy. That's when I say, well, we're of the same culture. You know what I mean? If you're a boxing fan, then you ain't got no reason not to love Counterpunch with Kurt DeVille and love the knowledge when I come on in and I spit what I have to go and spit, because the culture transcends color.
Right.
Transcends color. But these guys are sitting there saying that, oh, I'm so happy now, and they're sitting back down. What did they have that much of a benign hatred for Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, it does make you think like, well, where is your patriotism if that's the case? But then it was a lot hidden by something else. It wasn't even that at all. So you look at guys like, oh, Triple G's the best thing, and then you're like, okay, is Triple G the best thing, or the fact that the Triple G just kind of looks more like you than the other guy?
Triple G was very good, but I've grown up in an era where I've seen punches like Julian Jackson. I've seen punches like Jerome McClellan. I've seen punches in the middleweight division right throughout. And there was a guy called Caveman Lee. Go check him. He fought Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler was just too much for him. But Caveman Lee was a fantastic, horrible puncher. I've seen fighters right throughout who've been up in that middleweight division who could properly crack. Let Tommy Hearns hit you with that right hand, you knew what time of day it is, right? So I've had that. It seems like this younger generation ain't had that, ain't grown up right now. So they see one bit piece of power and they could see someone who they could affiliate themselves to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it is what it is. So when I hear people gassing over certain fighters and all the rest of it, I don't really jump in to buy it. I'm saying, yeah, well, he's very good, but we're gonna see the real test is the test of time, where in how we look at you in 10 years, in 15 years. I'm old enough to say I know how I looked at those guys then, and I know the level of respect I got from now. So no, I'm not gonna really buy into it. When people overgas something, then I want to know, like, why are you overgassing like that? Don't someone have to go earn the right to be called great? Don't someone have to, you got to earn that right. You can't be knocking over guys. I'm gonna get gassed over it. That's nonsense. So no, I'm just real. And when I say what I'm saying, oh, Spencer's hating on him because I say this about white fighters, about black fighters, about Hispanic fighters, about the whole spectrum. You know what I mean? Eastern European fighters. I say I'm not gassing over you until I know that you're done and I can go, you have a body of work that I can go back and look on. And then when I look on that body of work, then I can say, boy, you know what? Maybe he was something special.
No, interesting point. Because I was just surprised, like, okay, but then it made me backtrack. The Floyd interviews, the Bernard Hopkins interviews, the Roy Jones Jr. interview.
You know what Larry saying that.
Yeah, now he just came out with it. He's not a part of anything to worry about anything. He's completely unfiltered because he's free to say and do and think and express how he wants. But then I never saw it. I just thought, well, you know what? Maybe he's just asking those questions because maybe he just wants to see the right type of fights. Now I know. Now I look at everything. Okay, now I see why Floyd was pissed. Now I see why Roy was pissed. Now I see why Bernard told him, you know what, Larry, stop being ignorant. You know what I mean? So a lot of those things now, and it just hit me like, wow.
You're giving too much emphasis. Listen, you see that people have those things in their heart. That's not my problem because I haven't got those things in my heart. I will stand up against those things, but even now I know that I'm not enough to call it out because I can't give it no energy. Good luck to what them guys want to think. Larry Merchant is a man of the past. He had a great innings run, but now no one don't care about your opinion. This is how it goes. You're not in the spotlight right now. You ain't got no credence.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I forget who we were talking about. Brandon, can Fury outbox Usyk or vice versa?
No, Fury can outbox him because Fury's the only man in the heavyweight division that IQ can match that of Usyk, and plus he can outbox him even more so because he's the bigger, stronger man, and he's a mammoth compared to Usyk. I don't think Usyk could handle that size.
Okay. Oh, Karma Serene, counterpunch to you. Get this. Speaking of Hitman, today is his birthday. Let's show him some love.
That's absolutely right. Thomas the Hitman Hearns, he was actually the first man to win 4 world titles. He was actually the first man to win 5 world titles, but Sugar Ray Leonard actually got the acclaim because a few days prior, was that in, what year was that? 1988. Sugar Ray Leonard beat Donny Alon to become the first man, and he actually had 2 world title belts on the line, the light heavyweight and super middleweight, in Vegas of 89 November. I think it was November 9th, and Tommy Hearns was like about 5 days before, where he fights James Kitchen for the WBO title. But at that time, the WBO was not recognized. So really and truly, Tommy Hearns was actually the first man to win 5 world titles, but the WBO wasn't a really recognizable belt. And he also fought James Kitchen for the North American Boxing Federation title, super middleweight crown that James Kitchen actually held. But Tommy Hearns was actually the first man to win 5 world titles before Ray Leonard. But Leonard won the WBC title, and that was a more recognizable title at the time. But Tommy Hearns was absolutely superb. Just go back to his fight. Even though it was a losing fight, it was that September of 81, him and Sugar Ray Leonard, when he gets stopped in the 14th round, was absolutely incredible. But if you go back to August of 80, when he knocks out Pepino Cuevas to win the WBA version of the of the welterweight title, when he was only a 21-year-old, you knew you was looking at something special. I remember at that time, Bob Arum, who was working alongside with the Kronk Gym and Emmanuel Stewart, said, I don't care who the guy is, nobody's not beating this kid. And Tommy Hearns, absolutely incredible fighter. His fight of April 15th, 1985 against Marvin Hagler, which in my mind is the greatest first round of all time. It's not the greatest fight of all time, it's the greatest first round of all time. Where he just stuck it on him. He's knockout winning 1984 of Roberto Duran was just horrible to watch. He just set him up, ping, right hand.
That was crazy. Yeah. Was he the first one to knock out Roberto Duran?
Was he the first man to knock out Roberto Duran? He was the first man to knock out Roberto Duran.
Because I never seen that before. I never seen Roberto Duran knocked out. He went 12 rounds with Hagler. Or was it 15 rounds with Hagler? He went 15 with Hagler, right?
15 rounds with Marvin. Wow. And that was May of 83. I'm saying his punching power was absolutely ridiculous. Tommy has punching power.
You think if someone stripped, I was hoping Malik Scott would do it, but you think someone like Wilder that does have freakish power like he does in long reach, long hands, do you think he could somewhat be like Hitman Hearns one day?
You know what? It's a lot of stripping away. There's a lot of stripping away of that bodywork, man, to get down to that engine. But if he has the desire to learn, and he seemingly has the desire to learn, but he's learning on a big stage, that's a difficult thing. And you're learning on a big stage against someone like Tyson Fury. That's even worse. It'd be different now if he had a couple fights where he's just learning and taking his time and everything else. then yeah, it would be something else. Simon Bradley says that you have missed his super chat, Kurt.
Man, my apologies, Simon. It was just
Find
pushing downward, man. But thank you
his
for the love. I believe it was £5 or
yeah,
£5.99. Much appreciated to you.
yeah. Right. So yeah, I got about another 5 minutes, man, because I got to bounce now, man. I got work to go and do. Like, this is not work to me. I'll talk boxing every day, but yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure to be up on your
Absolutely. Man, I'm glad you came in and cleared a lot of things up with Anthony Joshua. Me counterpunching what you have to say. My 2 cents about it is I don't think AJ would be over here if he didn't care about improving.
No, of course he wouldn't be. Of course he
I
wouldn't.
don't think he. I think if he was sick of boxing like people think, I think the gyms would be the last place he would want to visit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think like, you know what? I don't even want to. If work bogged me down to the point I just had an unsuccessful day at work, and then you see me at work, you know what I mean? You can't say I don't care about work unless I was going to get my last check. You know what I mean? So, take that for what it's worth on that. We got J.E. Prodigal Son. Could AJ have gone into this fight or this recent fight knowing there is a high possibility he could lose because of some of the many factors such as Usyk's experience in southpaw style to learn and make a comeback?
Yes, I do believe that. I totally
Hmm.
agree. Yeah. What's
So
that?
you think he's not more or less disappointed, but he's just not surprised due to who he was fighting.
Yeah, I believe that as well.
Okay. What do you think of Usyk being a basic southpaw?
He's not a basic southpaw. The guy, it was like Johnny Nelson, former WBO world cruiserweight champion, the man who holds the joint record for most defenses, and is also British boxing's second longest reigning world champion after Joe Kawasaki. Johnny Nelson held the title for 7.5 years. I gotta say that Johnny was saying like there was nothing special about Usyk. I was agreeing with everything he said, but he said that he's average.
Average, that's the word. Yep.
Should never have said that because Usyk is not average. He's above average. He's way above average, right? He's anything. You know what I mean? Like average is here, and where Usyk is, he's somewhere up in the stratosphere over there. So no, I don't. Like everything, kind of.
So in the stratosphere.
But what I'm trying to say is like what it is this, and this is where a lot of these hypocrites are coming out now singing Usyk's praises now, especially in the UK, saying, "Oh, he's superb. Oh, he's this." You know what I mean? And Johnny's saying like he ain't all that. Reason being because Johnny's an ex-fighter. Johnny's saying, "You know what? I fancy my chances. If I was at cruiserweight, me and Usyk, I think I would have done all right with him." And as an ex-fighter, you're meant to think that way. You're not meant to not think that way. You're meant to think that way. But I wish that he didn't call him average, but everything else of what he was saying about Usyk, I was in agreement with. But Usyk is very, very smart. And when you're in a fight with somebody like Usyk, it's cerebral. So you got to be thinking a lot. And when you're thinking a lot, that psychologically and physically drains you. And that's what he did with Anthony Joshua. But what I am saying is in the UK, a lot of people are singing the praises of of Usyk so much, like they were just glad at the loss what happens to Anthony Joshua. So there is like, yeah, we want to be affiliated with Anthony Joshua, but when it goes wrong, we're gonna show that we was jealous of the success that you had. We're jealous of the success that you have had, that we've seen guys with more ability than you that haven't achieved what you've achieved. And I want to know where exactly it's coming from. So there's a lot of these bitches that are on TV, and I hope that he's aware of it and he can see it as it is and say, okay, well, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree.
All these certain reporters all smiling on it and yeah, and just before the fight and everything else, and all saying, yeah, we got Joshua to win this one, and we're having conversations, yeah, we got Joshua, and you don't win, and then all of a sudden, like, Usyk's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and Andy Joshua can't fight.
Yeah.
Now that's wrong.
That's bad. You know what I mean? You throw them under that. You throw them under the bus. I can understand appreciating the skills of the opposite of opponent, but then but like saying that a fighter is not good, that's stupid because now you're diminishing what you just said. It's an oxymoron.
Well,
You can't say that, oh, he's so great, then Joshua's now so good. So now Joshua was here, now he's here.
man,
It
Kurt,
doesn't even make sense.
got time for this, but like I said, that's why they can't take me because I spit on mine. There's a lot of punks in this game that make me sick.
Oh, counterpunch. J.E. Prodigal Son, I appreciate that super chat. Swift 718 coming in with another one. Fury should have vacated to fight AJ. Wilder could have fought White for a vacant WBC. Fury AJ winner versus White Wilder winner for undisputed, or would Usyk bring mandatory have blocked for that?
You know what? I hear all of that, and right now I don't care. I got to bounce now anyway. But Swift 718, thank you for the super chat. You are right in a degree, but what I'm trying to say is like this. I do want to see it undisputed, but I'm not that eager to see it undisputed. The reason why, because some of the greatest who have done it in the heavyweight division have not been undisputed. I go through the whole list. Larry Holmes were undisputed, but Larry Holmes is a bad man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The top wasn't undisputed. You go through a list. There's been so many fights that haven't been undisputed. So it is what it is.
It's a lot of them.
On that note, Kurt, I got a bounce. It's been fantastic being on Counterpunch. Big up Kurt DeVille. I want to big up every single person that paid their money in for the super chat. Every single person that tuned in. Please like, subscribe, and comment on anything that you see on Counterpunch Boxing Then, because he's bridging the way between the UK and the USA. And Swift 718, Larry Merchant, Bob Arum are two relics. Yep, with an old time mindset and from an old time frame in history. I totally agree. And I have to commend myself. I'm actually doing this on my phone, so and I ain't got my glasses on. I actually read that. I agree. I agree with absolutely what you're saying. But the thing about it is this: is like those old time guys. Howard Wilson, who was the Prime Minister of Great Britain in 1976, said, "He who rejects change is the architect of decay. For the only human institution that rejects progress is the cemetery." And on that, I'm bouncing. Thank you very much for having me on your show. Yeah, Kurt. Thank you.
All right, brother. Have a good day, man. Appreciate you coming on. We'll do it again. And that was the knowledge coming in with the knowledge and historical references, as he always does. And I think that AJ, he, like he said, like the knowledge said, he's made a lot of money. He's made a lot of money, and a lot of times, like marvelous Marvin Hagler said himself, it's hard to get up and run in silk pajamas. Now, mind you, like I'm watching, AJ, he was on Snapchat chat just yesterday. He's training. He's training now. Like, hey, I go back to training, go back, rebuild, recoup. And he did the same thing when he lost to Andy Ruiz. Within a week, you've seen him working on his footwork. So I think nothing changes. And hopefully for Anthony Joshua, the one and only thing that I feel ultimately that will motivate him is a loss. The thing is, you just hope he just doesn't get motivated after each loss. But then if he's able to do that, you can officially call him the comeback kid. Let's see, Kurt, carry on reading out the paid chats. Yeah, okay. Well, let's go back to because this one actually wasn't answered by by Swift 718. Fury should have vacated to fight AJ. Well, first off, let me stop you right there, Swift 718. Sorry. It didn't matter if he would have vacated or not. People want you to believe, regardless of who they are, they wanted you to believe that Tyson Fury would be stripped if he didn't fight Wilder. That is not the truth. The WBC didn't have anything to do with him fighting Joshua. It was a contractual agreement only. It didn't have anything to do with it. He could have threw that belt away, but that wouldn't have stopped him from fighting Wilder. See, the arbitration wasn't Mauricio Suleiman had nothing to do with Daniel Weinstein. Daniel Weinstein made a decision on the contract purposes. Yes, his status was WBC heavyweight champion, but it did not mean that he had to fight Wilder for that belt. That belt had nothing to do with it. So even if he would have vacated, the belt would have went somewhere. It probably would have went to Dillian White. And Dillian White probably wouldn't even had to fight anybody for it. If Mauricio hadn't designed it that way. He could have set a fight up for him to fight somebody, probably like, I don't know who is even in that range now, but he would have fought someone, or it would have just been given to him just because Tyson Fury vacated it. Okay. Now, so Fury, AJ winner, then White and Wilder winner for Undisputed. Wilder could have fought for the undisputed, so he would have fought White. That would have been a good fight, right? So that would have been the other fighter. AJ versus Fury winner versus that. That would have been nice, but that didn't happen. It didn't. You know what I mean? It didn't happen. Swift 718, I thank you for that super chat. But no, that wouldn't have happened. You know, you fight a mandatory, then a voluntary. Wilder was a voluntary. White's a mandatory. Well, that's true. Way low 83, counterpunch to you. Hope all is well. Been a long time. Imagine AJ, the comeback kid. Yeah, I just think he's a comeback kid, you know, and if he doesn't, see, I think this next one, because he might have knew, that's why I don't think he was that, he was disappointed, but I don't think he was surprised. But I can tell you this, he was surprised about that damn decision, though, wouldn't he? You remember that? White and AJ need to step aside and allow Undisputed to happen. Well, Scans Rants, we got to be fair about that. Wilder wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Wilder wouldn't do that. White got knocked out. Wilder would, you know, so, you know, I wouldn't agree with that because respect me, brother. Respect TN3. Because that's just like Deontay Wilder saying, okay, I'm going to step aside and allow this to happen. He wasn't. He didn't give a shit about Anthony Joshua fighting Tyson Fury. He just knew he had a contract. That was only right. You know, and that's one thing I told people. Well, if Wilder got a contract and the contract is still valid, that means he has to fight. You know. Andre Rodriguez. Counterpunch to you. AJ isn't good for the public. He has no say. He has no say inside boxing. Fury is what it's all about when you're a champion. Okay, well, I mean, you got a unified versus the WBC. I believe AJ can catapult his status back to the top by beating Wilder. Usyk rematch will be a huge mistake for AJ. I don't think he should fight Usyk right now. You know, and I think honestly, AJ wasn't as focused on Usyk as Usyk on AJ. You know, and I think that had a lot to do with it. AJ lost a fight thinking that he was just going to knock and rush through like a fill-in. And that fill-in was Andy Ruiz. And we all know what happened with that. As Eddie said, write AJ off at your peril. Everyone was just keeping Fury's belt warm anyway. AJ loses the Usyk rematch. He's not dirty enough to beat the man, and he's definitely can't outbox him. He's not dirty enough. You know, that's funny though. You know, I don't think he would be, because you know, I don't see AJ as the dirtiest thing I see AJ do, which, you know, if I was fighting AJ, I would definitely, my corner or, you know, my team would be very keen on letting him hold me behind because he will jab, and if he misses you, he will cuff you. You know, and then a lot of times he can bring you into a right uppercut if you're close to him. You know what I mean? So you have to watch that. But other than that, low blows, headbutts, rabbit punches, you know, I don't see him do a lot of that. You know, I don't. Top 3 choices for AJ's new coach. I like it, Teddy Atlas. You know, because I want to see Teddy Atlas cuss somebody out because you know he's not going to like the happy the smiles and shit. He ain't gonna like that. He ain't gonna like that with AJ. You know what I mean? But then again, you know, I think it's because he's seen him smile and laugh, and a lot of times people's personality clashes. So you know what? Maybe that might not be a good case. Kurt, who you got? Fury versus AJ versus Deontay. I think this Mike Pedroza. Mike, I feel Tyson Fury would lose to AJ. Wilder would beat AJ. But that could be totally wrong. Because see, all of these fighters are top. And then when you put AJ in front of a taller fighter, he's gonna beat the shit out of you because he's even with you. He doesn't have to punch downward. He doesn't have to, you know, there's nothing that he has to do extra, you know. Why do people choose to hate AJ so much? In your opinion, he's an exceptional fighter, a great ambassador for the sport, and he's not a sucker MC. Well, Swift 718. The reason why is because when sometimes you can do so well, and then you don't have to go through a certain avenue to do it. In other words, AJ didn't need Floyd Mayweather for Floyd Mayweather to respect AJ. And that's funny because Floyd is a guy that he wants and craves a lot of attention. He likes to be in the spotlight. So if you are a person that is coming in danger of that for someone like Floyd, Floyd is good. He's not going to like that long. Whereas you have tribal people over here. So you have tribal people. You have tribal people to the point where you're like, okay, well, I like Al Heyman. I like Floyd Mayweather. I like Errol Spence. I like PBC. I like Fox. So you have that group. Then you have like the other group of people that's American. You know, you have the ESPN guys like Andre Ward, Timothy Bradley. You know, again, tough fighters, ex-fighters, good commentators, mad respect for them, but they are in another tribal circle. Then you have the UK. Then, you know, you have guys, you have Matchroom. Then you have like MTK Global. So you got the Tyson Fury, the Joe Joyce, the Daniel Dubois. Boom, that's one circle, right? And probably a couple more. Then you got Matchroom with Eddie Hearn. Okay, well, then you have AJ. Then you have Dillian White. Then, you know, you have Usyk at times. Then, you know, you have a lot of these fighters, you know, that are on that platform, that circle, that tribal circle. Well, the problem was, okay, what caused all the ruckus was when Eddie Hearn decided to come across the pond and plant his claim as a promoter in the USA, being a slick, sweet-tongued, white promoter, saying what he's going to do with a huge budget to do it. Okay, so that's what you had. And then someone hearing a new idea, they're going to be like, hell no, you ain't bringing that shit over here. Matter of fact, nobody's going to be going with you, Eddie, because nobody knows you here. So why don't you take that shit back over there? Oh, it's going to be on a phone. The zone on a phone? Fuck yeah. But people really understand or misunderstood or didn't realize, like, yo, well, hey, you know that television, a smart TV is just like a huge phone. And you can interchange them. Like right now, I could be watching YouTube and I could, you know, put it on my phone. You know, I can mirror it to my phone just with a click of a button. Right. So They didn't catch the big idea, but it turned into that, like us versus them. And then you had AJ, that was the shining star. Guys were going over there, undefeated Dominic Breazeale, undefeated champion Charles Martin. AJ was knocking these dudes out. He was putting their lights out. Appreciate your capital 2 times. But he was putting their lights out. You know what I mean? So, and then he was a guy that had similar qualities of Eddie Hearn. He could talk a good game, he could fight, and he made a shitload of money. You know what I mean? Then he fucked around and beat Klitschko. Then it's like, oh, well, hell, now you've done something that someone over here ain't never done. Not Brian Jennings, Deontay Wilder didn't have the opportunity. Neither did Charles Martin. Those guys were like secondary champs. So when he does something like that, okay, well, damn. Then you got the same guy that manages him coming over across the pond with that guy and this influence saying, hey, I want to sign you guys. It's almost like, hey, you either with us or you with him. Some white UK promoter that we don't know. What's it going to be? You know what I mean? So, and then here it is when people actually start going. You know what I mean? So it did draw a division, and then the content creators took a stand, the LDBC. So they stood with that and they started making narratives, and that really drew a line in the sand between fighters from over here and then fighters from the UK. Okay. Then you have someone like AJ that's more popular than Lennox Lewis, even though Lennox Lewis did more, of course, but he wasn't there. So it was a lot of things that happened in the sport, that caused all that junk. Tony Lyons, Kurt, you said in an interview about Usyk holding back with Chisora and about COVID-19. You didn't believe that, did you? Usyk didn't hold back with Chisora or Witherspoon as he was 100% fight night. Look, I wouldn't see any reason for him to. I don't see Usyk as a liar, Tony. I don't. I know I hear bullshit every day, but I didn't. When I heard that, I was like, okay, I think this was his opportunity to use what Tyson was talking about to state, hey, this is what was going on. People, you can't judge one fight from another fight. You don't mean who knew he had COVID-19? Did we even know that? It's one thing to say I got it because you want to tell people you have it just so people would know. But why would you want them to know? You want them to know for a particular reason. He didn't say shit. So if he did, you know what I mean? It's a good thing he did win. You know what I mean? But I don't know. He still beat them both. He stopped Witherspoon. He made him quit. They were like, enough of this shit. Right? Oh, hell. Conspiracy theory. AJ lost, intentionally set up a rematch to become 3-time. That's crazy. I mean, I don't think so, but it would be some clever shit. I mean, he ate a lot of punches. Now, if he goes in there and shows us something totally different off the fly and it sounded so smooth and easy, that could be feasible. Nah, Usyk is all mind games. He said he doesn't want to knock AJ out because now they both healthy and good. That dude has 13 KOs on his record. He has no problem stretching you out. Yeah, out of 19 wins, he has 13 KOs. Look what he did to Tony Bellew. Now, here's the thing. I think he intended to knock Tony Bellew out. That's why he did that. I believe that shit. I believe he showed AJ just enough, like, yo, I can't. And he stopped fighting him. Even when AJ was on the ropes, AJ was practically, he was sitting on the ropes. He was sitting on that middle rope and leaning his back against the top rope. Okay? Because Usyk has punched his ass into that position. If he would have went through those ropes, he could have went through those ropes. If he would have went and his ass would have missed that middle rope, he would have went right through that shit. So yeah, that could have happened. Yeah, Nick Rich, that should have happened 10 years. Yeah, before. I would love to see that 10 years before because we would have saw a different Tyson and, versus what Lennox Lewis had to offer 10 years prior to that. AJ is a true champion sportsman, and whoever is saying he lacks heart needs to check his accomplishments. He just had a bad night at the office. He will be back stronger and better for sure. I can't wait to see the rematch. You know what I mean? Even though I would love to see Usyk do more with a different fighter to show, like, yo, this is me. I'm a force to be reckoned with. I'm not just stuck down with a rematch clause. So let me show you I can beat a Fury or a Wilder or a Ruiz or a Joyce again, and somebody like that. So I would love to do that. AJ did catch him with a straight in those last seconds. Yeah, he did. He did. I mean, they didn't have enough on him to me. He didn't throw them like, look at the right hand he hit Povetkin with. I didn't see any of those commitment to punches like that in that fight. I didn't see that. Bo wanted no smoke with Lewis. That ain't no lie. I think AJ has come a long way in his career. He has got worse. No. Usyk is more accurate than powerful. Scans rants, that's probably the best way you can describe him. Like, look at how Floyd hits you. Floyd can hit you with, or better yet, Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, how hard does Terrence Crawford really hit versus how well and the punch placement is? So, right on the money, Scans rants, counterpunch to you. He had one instance where he cracked Usyk, and Usyk had to pause for a bit. That was the moment AJ needed to get his attack mode. Sean Alexander, I remember that, but what he did, he hit Usyk, and it was like Usyk lit up. Did you know? Bow! And Usyk was like, I think he was waiting for whatever Joshua was going to throw to be able to elude or whatever. But he did catch him. I remember that moment. He wanted a draw to prepare for a rematch. Well, he didn't get that. Kurt, what's your thoughts on Lopez and Haney's commotion at the fight the other night? It's just getting real stupid. They should either fight or they don't. I mean, just dumb. For me, I think it was just promotion and propaganda and build up for the time they actually do fight. Because that gets people talking about it. You're face to face. You're talking shit at each other. You have your fathers there. Just like I don't buy that necessarily. I think that was orchestrated. I do. People had their phones out taking pictures and all that stuff there. I think that's what that was about. Lopez ain't fighting, Haney. Trust. Everyone has power. I have precision. Style bender. Counterpunch to you, Nicolas. Yo, Kurt, do you think Lopez is undisputed? I know he's not. The sanctioning body guy said he wasn't. He said you can't call two champions in the same weight class unless Devin Haney was a regular champion, but he's not. That's Mauricio's fault. Those motherfuckers are fighting over who's undisputed because he can't make up his damn mind because he's too greedy to pick a side or make a fight. I'm from the UK, but AJ needs an American trainer. Facts. Stephen Bailey, counterpunch to you. Facts. Lopez and Haney supposed to fight just 1 week apart, and the WBC said Haney was the real champion. And then the WBC said they got to fight. Well, they got to fight then. Let them fight. Let's let them fight. All that talking and all that shit, it's just like, this is dumb. Devin's argument is that Loma ducked him, which is why he has the WBC belt. Well, it was given to him. But then again, Loma was the one that agreed for the franchise. What should have happened, Mauricio, he should have had Loma fighting Devin Haney. But no, he wanted to just see. It's better to do that, how he did it, because you get two checks. You get one from the status being franchise, then you get the WBC world champion. So he gets two checks from both fighters. They have to pay him two separate fees. Do you get it? It's all about money with Mauricio. That's all it's about. He doesn't give a shit about it. If he's around anybody, he's the real champion. I think Devin Haney's real champion. Then he gets around T.O. T.O.'s a major champion. Like, dude, come on, man. Get on. Is Usyk the next Roy Jones? I don't think there will ever be another Roy Jones because y'all must have forgot. But no, seriously, no. Roy, by that time, he started from middleweight and moved his way all the way up. So, Mikey Garcia crying. Yeah, I seen some of that fight. Yeah, he was just rusty, he didn't do enough, and he might be done. Shit, he took 2 years out of the ring. That takes stuff from you. You can't get time back. So it is what it is, So, but no, man, I think that AJ, he needs to get him someone that's going to give him a refreshing career change and a career start mentally. That hey, he can get rid of some stuff or get rid of everything, which I doubt because that's hard to do, and start with someone new. Bars. Guys, I thank you for coming on this chat. Everybody, thank you all. Thank you all for the love. Hit that like button. And everyone on this chat in the trenches has been counterpunched. Peace.